Guys, once again, this is your guy Jay Focus, reminding you to stay focused. And today I'm doing a different type of video. Even though I've been to 80 countries before, had a YouTube channel for many years, I've never done one of these top 10 type videos. I know a lot of people respond to these videos, so if this is something that you guys like, I can continue to do this in segments in the future. This is the settle down for someone in their mid-30s and above. This list is not in any particular order, so do not come at me with like, I can't believe that was your number one pick, because the first one I give is just the way I wrote it down on the list. It's not in order of the best place. So the first place on the list is the Dominican Republic. Now, I know this might be a shocker to some people. Some other people might be like, oh, this was predictable. Now, when I speak about the Dominican Republic, I'm not referring to Sosua. Many people equate the DR with Sosua, and that is a very small percentage of the country and what the lifestyle is like if you retire there. There are many other places to settle down in, such as the capital, Santo Domingo, the second biggest city, which is Santiago, which is an inland city. There are places like Puerto Plata, which is on the same northern coast as Sosua. You've got places like Samaná, which is a peninsula that doesn't see the same volume of tourism as some of the other places. That being said, DR to me is an island, but it's a big enough space that you can get in where you fit in. If you want a smaller town life, you can find that. If you want to have the city, the subway, international flights, you've got Santo Domingo. If you want some middle ground, you've got Santiago. If you got to be by the beach, like I said, Samaná is a good pick. So this is my thinking when I put Dominican Republic on the list for the best places to settle down. Paraguay. Paraguay is probably going to be another shocker to people. Now, Paraguay is not a turn-up party place. I'm going to have a list for turn-up party places. Paraguay is not that place. Paraguay is a slower-paced part of Latin America that I would not recommend to people who don't already speak Spanish or have a lot of experience living in Latin culture. People that already kind of get it, who've already done the Colombias, already done the DRs, already done the Mexicos, and are looking for a more chill place, slow pace, low cost of living, peaceful, friendly people. Paraguay is a place that you should take a look at if that's where you're at in your life. Now, the next place on the list, we did 2 in Latin America. The next one, I can't leave out Africa, is going to be Rwanda. Rwanda is similar to the first 2 picks, as in things can be as laid back or a little bit more lively if you're looking for that. But overall, most people are going to find peace in Rwanda. You are going to find relatively good value for money as it comes to real estate. The women are going to be cooperative, more marriage-minded than in some other parts of the world. So that being said, the weather is phenomenal, and I've been all over the world, and very, very few places have weather as nice as Kigali, Rwanda. Now, that being said, it's not a perfect place, but it definitely earns a spot on my list for the best places to settle down. Number 4 pick is going to be Thailand. Thailand is a classic. I'm sure people were expecting Thailand on this list. Thailand just checks so many boxes. The location is prime in Southeast Asia. It's extremely well connected to every other country in the region. You can find many cheap flights daily, and the value for money living in Thailand can be high depending on where you want to live. Now, Bangkok is not the cheapest place in the world, but if you're willing to spend about $1,000 a month, you can have a very good condo located right near the BTS in a nice district. And Bangkok, of course, is a party place, but you can also find one of the quieter areas of the city. And going outside of Bangkok, you have places like Pattaya. That wouldn't be my first choice, but I know a lot of retired Americans are living there, living their best life. There are islands like Koh Phi Phi, you got Koh Samui, you got Koh Phangan, which I like a lot. You've got Phuket. So there's kind of something for everyone in Thailand. It's a big enough place. You can find something that suits your budget. You can be as party active or as chill as you would like it. You can be by the coast. You can be inland like Chiang Mai. So Thailand is going to check boxes for anybody, and you don't have to give up a lot of the comforts of home. You can have food from all over the world, interact with people from all around the world. It's very hard to match what Thailand has to offer. So I had to throw a European country on the list. Well, I didn't have to, but I lived in Europe before, so I have a lot of experience in that realm. Many different countries I've seen in Europe, but Spain is very well-rounded. You've got some of the best weather that you're going to find on the entire continent of Europe year round, mild winters for Europe, and you've also got places like the Canary Islands if you need that island vibe. You've got Ibiza, you've got Mallorca, you've got lots of other territories that aren't connected to the Spanish peninsula that are also going to be attractive. You can find still low-cost housing for well under $1,000 for a one-bedroom in a prime location with a view or some nice amenities. Very walkable lifestyle. One language to get through most of the major cities. If you know Spanish, you're going to be in a very comfortable position there. You've got access to all over the world, flights to anywhere you want to go. So using Spain as a hub is very attractive. It's a low crime country. The infrastructure is among the best in the world. So Spain is not perfect, but it definitely earns its spot on the list again. So the number 6 pick to settle down is going to be Kenya. So now we got 2 African countries on the list. Kenya is probably the best black African country on the continent. Now, I know people will fight me on that, but I'm saying for the average person coming from the West. Now, Nigeria obviously is a bigger country. It has a lot of potential, but I'm saying for people who just want to move from England, who want to move from Canada, US, etc., there's really no place that's going to fit for them more than Kenya if they are looking for everything. You know, Rwanda is nice, South Africa is nice, but Kenya has everything. You've got a very good airport. You've got access to beaches. You've got reasonable prices for accommodations. You've got a world-class city in Nairobi with international folks and activities and food from any place you can name. You can probably find it in Nairobi. Access to products, infrastructure, safety is getting high marks across the board for Africa. So if you've got to be in a black African country, which is why I didn't name South Africa, then Kenya is going to be the one to beat in Africa for now, for settling down. They make it very straightforward as far as getting your residency and other documents. It's above board. You don't have to bribe anybody. And you can live a very high quality Western style life in Kenya. And as I said, the weather in the capital is a little bit cold for me, but you do have the option of also settling somewhere like Mombasa in the wintertime to kind of have the best of both worlds. So Nairobi, Kenya in particular, the whole country gets high marks for me as a place to settle down. The number 7 country to settle down in is going to be Indonesia. Now, Indonesia, when people hear that word, the first thing they think of is Bali. Now, Bali is the place to be. That's the international hub for tourism, for lifestyle, for everything you've heard that exists there. Now, Indonesia is much bigger than just the island of Bali. You've got the main island area, which is Java. I think it's the 3rd biggest island in the world. That's where you have the capital. You have Jakarta. You've got several other major cities in Indonesia. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want to live in Java, but based on what I've seen, you're going to get a very good reception when you get there, friendly people. You're not going to have any problems with dating when you get there. I could see in the future some of the secondary, 3rd cities in Java becoming a very nice place to settle down in. Currently, the traffic in Jakarta, Indonesia in particular, just makes it very undesirable for that. But having the access to a major city like that, having that access to the chill, breezy, tropical lifestyle in Bali at the same time means that Indonesia overall is a winner and belongs on this list. Argentina is number 8 on the list. Now, again, I know people don't want to hear anything from me on Argentina. What do I know? I only lived there for 3 years. But Argentina actually is one of the better places in Latin America to settle down, with the caveat that you bring your own woman. I will say that, because having a relationship with an Argentinian woman or marrying one is not going to make sense for 99% of the people who are listening. Hate me if you want to, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Now, that being said, you can have fun there, but if I was to settle in Argentina, I would need to bring my own wife. I would need to have my own situation. But beyond that, if you bring your own, Argentina is very hard to beat, especially in the past when the exchange rate was really favorable. Now, will it be that favorable again in the coming years? It's really hard to say. One thing about Argentinian economy is that it's super unpredictable. Things do whatever they want to do. But when it's good, it is very, very good. And it's been very, very good for quite a long time, for about 6, 7 years straight. Now I think is a transition period, but we'll see how the next couple years play out as far as that goes. But that being said, the safety you're going to get in Argentina is unlike anywhere else in the Americas for the size of the country. People leave you alone. You only need one language to get around, which is Spanish. If you've got that down, you can communicate well with everyone. The infrastructure is extremely good in the capital. Outside of that, maybe not quite to that same level, but very comfortable. If you want to have land, you want to have a ranch, do anything out in the boonies, Argentina should be very desirable for you. You can actually own firearms in Argentina, which a lot of countries around the world, if you're coming from the States, you will be surprised to find out that you do not have a right to bear arms. Well, in Argentina, especially if you're out in the rural areas, you have no problems having a gun legally and protecting your property. Overall, you have a strong rule of law in Argentina. You have a government that you don't have to bribe anyone to get things done. Most services, such as passports, driver's license, are automated these days. Things are very smooth once you get things going. The initial setup might be a bit confusing, but once you are integrated in the system, things are very smooth. They are up on technology, so you can get high-speed internet and everything else that you might need to work online. So overall, this place is not going to be for everybody, but if you've ever considered it, Argentina is one of the better places in the world to see. Mexico, how could I forget Mexico? Mexico is no secret. People from the States and the West have been settling down in Mexico for many, many years. Now, it's not as cheap as it once was, even 5, 6 years ago. It gives you a pretty good bang for your buck. They make it extremely straightforward if you have a retirement or if you just have a decent amount of money in an account and you want to get residency and eventually citizenship. I didn't mention it about Argentina, but that's another highlight to Argentina settling down there, is that you can be a full-fledged citizen in less than 4 years. So when I'm looking at places I want to integrate in long-term, settle down, own property, I prioritize places that are going to give me all the rights of a citizen. Not second-class citizenship, not permanent residency, but full-on constitutional citizenship is what I look for when I look at some of these different countries. So you get really high points with that, with Argentina, with Mexico, and Dominican Republic. If you haven't noticed, the Latin countries are much more open to receiving new citizens compared to the Asian countries. Forget about it. And the African countries, it's kind of murky. What doesn't Mexico have? You've got some of the best food in the world. You've got amazing beaches. You've got all the entertainment that you could imagine. You've got a world-class city in Mexico City, a good international hub for flights, and every kind of weather that you could want. If you're looking for that eternal summer, eternal spring, you can chase that in Mexico without even stepping out of the country. Mexicans have a very high sense of personal freedom. If you remember when the 2020 situation happened, Mexico, along with Brazil, was one of the few countries in the world that stayed open completely throughout that whole situation. So having that track record gives me a lot of confidence in the future for Mexico. So Mexico 100% deserves a spot on this list. Now, the last country for settling down in would be Ethiopia. Ethiopia is an amazing country. It's not just the capital, Addis Ababa, which most people associate with the whole country. Ethiopia is extremely diverse. You've got the northern sections of the country, which border Eritrea, where you can just feel the tradition and the years of culture and civilization. You've got more of the tropical areas in the southern parts of the country, which feel like a whole nother world when compared to the capital. You've got the eastern part of Ethiopia, which leans more towards Islamic influence. And then you've got the western side, which is a little bit less explored, bordering Kenya. So I think you can never get bored exploring Ethiopia for many, many years. I wish that certain things like international goods were available a little more easily in Ethiopia, but that's something that I think will improve with time as the rail links towards Djibouti are in operation, and eventually, hopefully, Ethiopia will get access to the sea once again. And if that happens, I'm sure it could blow up and become the capital of Africa It's not impossible. So that's it. I've gone through the list. These are my 10 favorite countries in the world to settle down in. Let me know if I missed the country or if you disagree with me. And until next time, this is your guy, Jay Focus, reminding you to stay focused.